Hi, this is a short video clip going over presents, or fronts as they're known in America. I've got two of my young puppies here who I'm shaping and working on teaching the beginning of a present. The initial stage is done in a chair where I shape the dog for coming in a gap that I've created with my feet outstretched from the chair. So I sit at the edge of the chair and I allow the dog to come into that gap. My feet are positioned squarely, so I'm creating the gap or the position where the dog will eventually put its backside in. And I would just start by rewarding any effort to step into the gap. I would then progress that to asking the dog to stand in the gap and then eventually sit in the gap. So what I would do to also encourage the dog to come quite tight in, which is what we would prefer, what I would prefer for UK obedience, is I'd reward the dog by taking it under my leg and throwing a tidbit out. I can also use this to create momentum, to get a fast return, and also to create an angle. So I can work on my angle presents from the beginning, so even with a tiny puppy. What I'm looking for is the dog to position itself in between my feet, so that you can see Punch just setting his chest in the gap, and I'm just having my feet on my stomach resting, because this is the picture the dog's eventually going to see, so that will be the cue. Now, both these dogs can actually do the present standing up, and what often happens with this method is when you go back to doing it on the chair, they often lose that information, because you would only do this for a very brief period of time. Within a matter of a couple of sessions, you'd want to be progressing this from sitting in the chair. The next stage would be leaning up against the wall and then eventually standing up. So in this instance, as I say, you would just shape the dog coming into the present. Key things to remember is that you're sitting at the edge of the seat. You want to do this so that your dog doesn't hit itself on the edge of the seat as it comes in. If I get a moment, for example, like that, where the dog sat, I'm going to make I would normally jackpot that or make a big effort. And I'm just building this up and progressing it, so looking for the dog to come into that position, which will be the front. So again, I'm just shaping and rewarding any effort. My hands can help assist the dog by having them set above my knees, so this will again encourage the dog to have a very upright position as opposed to pushing itself right the way through. If you didn't want the contact, you would have your hands, positioned further away from your body, so i.e. probably above more your shins or your toes. And again, I just rewarding the dog for sitting high up in that position. So again, rewarding significantly more with any efforts that the dog gives me. The little area that the dog has to put his backside in is going to eventually be the same area that the dog feels or looks for when I eventually stand up. So you can create angles from the first time you do this with a puppy. You know, throw your tidbit out to the left or to the right, or your cookie out to the left or to the right. So the dog goes under your leg and back out to the right, under the leg, back out to the left, and create, quite acute angles. So the dog's already learning quite a complex skill early on in his or her training, and then progressing this to standing up or leaning up against a wall. So same thing again, same sort of picture. I lean up against the wall and have my treat positioned where the dog just comes in and gets into that area. Again, you can take the dog under your leg to get more distance and speed if you want, and again extend the angle. Here's an example with Fire, my border collie puppy. Again, of throwing the tidbit, taking the tidbit underneath my leg and encouraging her to run in and out. Obviously, as you can see here, she gets a bit stuck at a couple of occasions, and I do nothing. I just wait for the dog to go back in that area. I don't want to correct it, highlight to the dog, because the dog's learning. Obviously, I'm trying to build up that want to get in there. So you watch at this stage, obviously I'm just positioning my hands above my thighs, as it were, so the dog comes tight into that position. I can alter my hand position to get an upright sit or a more set off my body sit in for example for American obedience. So I can alter that by where I position my hand. Your hands will eventually be the cue. If you want to progress and get rid of the hands, it's very, very simply done. You would just initially get the dog into the present or the front position with your hands there and fade one hand out at a time. So I take all the hand out to the left, bring it back, take the hand out to the right, and reward the dog for remaining, and then gradually take both hands out and drop them by my side. I haven't covered this in these video clips because neither of these dogs are finished their have the end product. So again, just working on getting the dog returning from a straight line or a distance. Again, if the dog gets distracted, the key thing is just ignore it, reward the dog for coming back in. If you start to criticise the dog too early in this position, they tend to slow up, or they learn to be apprehensive about that area. So I really want to refrain as much as I can from doing that. I want the dog to just want to get into that zone. So I'm looking for the dog to be rewarded in what I would refer to as a reinforcement zone, being its butt in between my feet and my hands above the dog's head, so encouraging a nice tight sit. I would progress this to actually having my knees, if I wanted the dog to set off me or not push itself right with the legs, what I would do is push my knees together and create a bit of a barrier for the dog. So the dog now has to still position its back end in that gap, but now it can't push itself right through the legs. And this is the first time Fire's doing this, because I'm trying to retrain her presents, where I want her to not push herself right the way through this. So you'll see her hit some little struggles here, in which case if I feel that she's struggling, I've got all I've got out of her, or I feel I can achieve, I would just take the dog through my legs again and start again until she's comfortable in that area. Once I get a bit that I like, obviously big significant reward, terminate the session. So I hope that helps. If there's any queries, by all means email me at eastlondondogtraining@hotmail.co.uk, and I look forward to hearing from you.